Lori, how's it going over there in Louisiana? What you got going down?
It's like Lundi Gras today. You know what that means?
No,
Lundi Gras.
Lundi Gras. It means the day before Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And I would normally be out partying, but I just partied for 4 days, and I can't party another day. But I was having.
Louisiana you from?
I live in Orneville, Louisiana. It's about 2 hours like west of New Orleans.
I'm from Houma. I'm
You're from
below.
Houma?
Yeah, 45 miles below Houma. I mean, below New Orleans.
Oh, you're the guy who was talking about the shrimp?
Mm-hmm.
All right, right on. Another Louisiana person. You're going out to 369.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I did have a question for James, and I was like, maybe the Louisiana in the house is an interesting one. Because yeah, I know you got, we met 5'5" and all that. And then I've been on this tribe thing with y'all.
Yeah.
Well, here in Louisiana, it's kind of a deep, rich culture, but there's not a lot of pollination.
Mm.
They put you in jail for it.
What? What'd you say?
They put you in jail for it.
That's so funny.
Oh, yeah. I did 3 years for exposing a corrupt district attorney.
Wow.
Yep. I tried to have him die for pedophilia, for child trafficking, for money laundering, and a bunch of different other stuff, and they shut me up. They put me in jail, hit me with extortion. Did 3 years.
Wow. Well, there is kind of, if you wanted to say Louisiana made politician corruption kind of hip.
Well, when I was doing it, I was part of Anonymous, and I was in charge of the pedophiles, corrupt politicians. And as I was going through all the proof, all the tech statistics, Louisiana is the most corrupt state in the United States, and Terrebonne Parish is the most corrupt city. Houma is the most corrupt city in the United States.
Yeah, and there's a lot of.
It all starts here.
It's a lot of ports and a lot of history here of.
It's all mafia.
Corruption. Yeah.
All mafia.
Yeah, there's a lot of nepotism too.
And when you start pulling back the veils, all their families are involved. Whenever I started doing it, I had no idea my family was involved. All Jesuits. Her family was involved. All Jesuits. They started doing black magic on me. I've been going through hell the last 10 years.
What do you mean by black magic?
They have cults. I've got it from one of her friends who actually passed away after doing magic on me. I guess it was part of her karma. She died. She overdosed. But a couple of other people that she was doing it with, they get in these groups, and they was doing binding spells on me so that I wouldn't proceed and go farther in my job here. They were doing love spells where they would all get in circles and masturbate with my name on their tongue because of what I have with my job is here. Trying to keep me stuck and trying to keep me they call it binding spells and love spells.
Wow.
Real, yeah.
There's a lot of satanic Catholic Church cult stuff. I have a lot of friends that are survivors. It's a very interesting place to live. Very dense.
I've got it on high authority that the one that I tried to expose and did all this to me and my family, he's in the next couple of weeks, he's going to be arrested. He's going to be doing time, and everybody involved in my family and her family that did it, they're all going to be doing time and getting arrested, and I'm going to be getting money back for the time that I spent in jail and all the money that she hit me up for. And
boy, I hope it works out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds intense, Alex. Sounds like it's
been
quite a journey.
Yeah. Well, I kind of found it weird that I did something that I never would have, sober-minded, I would have never even thought about doing this. And it was on a night that I had lost my job. And I stopped at a friend's house, and he gave me, what he told me was a Xanax. And I emailed District Attorney Joe Waits and threatened him. Now, sober, I would have never done this. Come to find out that's all the magic that they were doing on me. It was crazy. doing stuff that I never would have done before. I would never, in a million years, email the district attorney and say, "Hey, partner, I'm coming after you." I had my stuff in a row first before I do that.
Wait, so you did do that?
Yeah.
And the magic, you're saying the magic is,
I didn't even remember doing it. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Xanax. He was on Xanax, or someone gave him Xanax.
A little purple football, like a little bitty tiny pill, like before this, a little something that big that I don't need 50 of them. But just one time, I guess because of what they was doing on me, I sat down on the computer and I emailed Joe Waits and I said, "Hey partner, this is what I got and I'm coming for you. Get ready." In 5 minutes, they said my SWAT team was at my house in 5 minutes. Jump out boys, 20 of them at my house, but just
Makes
me.
sense. Yeah.
That's some serious magic, man. SWAT is some serious magic. It really is.
Yeah.
Those guys ain't paying attention to nothing. They don't. They need to know less, not more. That's how they do their job. They're told less, not more. That's why it's such a powerful magic. That's the whole idea of being swatted is a magical attack.
The craziest part of it is everybody that I met on that other side of the judicial system and all this, they know they're corrupt and they know what they're doing is wrong, but all they can keep saying is, "I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job." Like that excuses them from their karma. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain, that the magic is so powerful. But you're saying it, man. You get it. It's that's why it's so powerful. It's voodoo. Man, voodoo is everywhere. And you saw it when you were growing up because it's in the world, and then you stop seeing it once you hit puberty because no one admits that it's there. And then when you awaken and you can handle the truth, you begin to see it again. You can start to see it again, but only in little doses, only in little bites. Oh, that's too bad. So you guys might know that we have a 510-630-1404 in the house. And this is the call-in line. However, it's muted, and I think that the poor little robot cannot. She doesn't know how to unmute. So she's there and she's like, "Hello, I am here to take calls," but she doesn't know how to hit the unmute. And I've tried to fix it while we're live, but it's I think that just the way Zoom is. However, if anyone does call in, you can just leave a message and we will get the messages, but I cannot do live calls tonight. But I just wanted to report that. So, but thank you so much for letting me have this time. First time.
Got to try it out.
Yeah, second time using this thing. So, and honestly, thank you so much for starting and continuing to have a very fruitful conversation. This is some good meat here. On one hand, you've got Louisiana, and that's just like, oh my God, like that's its own thing. But then on the other hand, you have your altered states. And your initiation through purple footballs, this is Alice in Wonderland in real time, and then you've got the SWAT. These are all really powerful forms of magic. In fact, I was talking about this today, but you entered into a state where you threatened the DA by letter. Is that by email?
I emailed him. I went on his website on Facebook and I emailed him and said, "I'm coming for you, partner. This is the evidence I got and I'm coming for you."
What was the evidence? Was it against him?
I hacked his computer. Plus, I had my ex-wife was working at a place called Copeland's. It's a restaurant in Houma. Each Saturday they meet at Copeland's and they have it's called the Big Boy, Houma Big Boys. And they go to the top of Copeland's and they have a dinner. Well, my wife just so happened to be the waitress there. And I hear all the stories that she'd have of what they would do to children. And then I hacked his computer. And I've seen stuff that I still have nightmares about.
Mm.
And like I said, I would have never thought about doing this before, James. Like I would have never. And but my whole life, this has been going on. I've been catching. I kind of had a feeling my family was into it because of the way I was treated. I was abused from the time I could walk. Every time that I tried to get away from the house, they would come find me. Even if I was after 18 years old, I don't know if they had tracking. This is before cell phones. I don't know how they was doing it, but I would leave the state and go to somebody else's house. The motherfuckers would find me and drive me back home. And I did not get married by a girl that I would have never married. I mean, she's not an ugly person, but her parents have destroyed her. Oh, I didn't know this in meeting her until we got together, and I was about to leave her whenever she had my first child, and she got pregnant. And now I don't even know if it's mine because of all the stuff I'm finding out since she left me. She walked out the door, but it's been, oh my God. Now that I step back and look at it, and I've completely woken up, and I know how to use these energies, and I'm finally clearing my mind. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. My own family, dude. My own family.
Wow.
Jesuits sold me. Like, what the fuck, man? And these people are Christians. Would get pissed off when I wouldn't go to church with them. When I started speaking out in church and saying, this don't feel right. I got beat because I knew something was going on. I could feel it. Like, something's not right in here.
Wow.
Do you think
all
that
your churches, all your 501c3 churches, it's all child trafficking. You go Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all your churches, all your everything with the Red Cross and the Red Shield.
sounds like chemtrails to me, Alex?
Well, I thought so too.
Anxiety broadcasted on the stage.
Yeah.
The ability to slip into animism and disassociate from the part of you that wants to build a boundary, and the boundary comes by you showing that you are capable of defending yourself, but you cannot defend yourself. The outer you can defend yourself, and you approach the very ghost of justice itself, the very egregore of justice itself, and you write it a letter. And this is the part of you that's able to enact because you've animized, because you stepped out of this self, which quite frankly doesn't have the shoulder pads to do these kind of things. So you are enacting on yourself. You're creating a Jacob's ladder, and then you're climbing it, and then you get to say, I didn't do that, but you did. You were building a boundary.
I did that.
And if you build a boundary that's beyond your capability, sometimes it's a super clever way of making sure you will never build boundaries again, because you will purposely build a shitty boundary so you can prove to yourself, hey, look, I really fucked up this boundary. See, I shouldn't have boundaries. And this is part of you just using the creativity to step away from the magic itself. The magic of this is a plasma barrier, an egoic plasma barrier that you have around you, that through the Satanism, through the history, through the child trafficking, these are the chemtrails of what it's like to be brought up without this sort of immune shell, without this egoic shell, this outer shell. It's been rape after rape after rape. I'm not trying to be graphic. It's just that's the word for it. It's an eviscerating kind of a thing. And
exactly what it is.
Yeah, and you find value because you were energetically raped. You actually build an entire personality. We build lineages off of this stuff, and we put them to work. They go to coal mines. They go to the military. They do all sorts of things throughout the population. This is one of the things that are needed to build a society. That's a species, though. You're an individual. So you coming online is only going to be as effective as the calories or the boundaries or the borders that you have that you feel are safe enough to claim. I think it's really smart that you wrote the letter to the DA. And I think that the DA is not a good shaman. So the DA isn't able to write you back and say what I just did. Because he would be the ultimate authority, the one that would be the least threatened by this whole thing. He's the fucking DA. He's fucking used to being threatened. Yeah. And if we want to pretend that he's not, that's too bad. But we know that justice isn't really a shamanistic thing. It could be. It is sometimes accidentally. I watched a kid drive. He had an epileptic seizure. The car, he blacked out. He was alone. The car continued to drift across the highway, went down into an embankment, completely off the road, was not in any traffic, and smashed into some trees. And the driver blacked out. Cop shows up. Cop's looking for drugs. Cop's looking for drugs. This is all the cop sees. I am here because there's got to be some fucking drugs around here. And he's interrogating the victim, who's now a double victim, because first he had a medical emergency. Now he's a victim of the justice system because the justice system is looking for drugs. So they start to pummel him with questions. Meanwhile, because he had an epileptic fit and actually fainted, his entire emotional system is rebooting. It's coming online. So he's delirious. As he's being delirious, the cop is telling in the radio, yeah, we got a suspect. He's combative. So now the cop says that this guy coming online is being too combative. Meanwhile, he's not on the road. He's not blocking anything at all. All the cop has to do is just let the guy wait. If you just wait, if you just sit there and watch this guy wait, he's coming online. He's going, what did I do? And the cop's like, I'm afraid he's going to drive the car. And it's like, you dumbass, take the keys. If that's really what you're afraid of, but it's not what you're afraid of. You want this to be a bad guy. You want there to be drugs. This is your entire dilation. You are suffocating as a cop if you do not get to find drugs on this guy. You will be in the paper. There will be pictures, all of that stuff. Alex, you're just picking up on fucking life, man. You're just picking up on the psychic signal of every law enforcement agent who's out there. And the child trafficking is the chemtrail part of it, because honestly, parents want to disassociate from their kids. Most of them are just like, fuck, I just want to go to work. And I don't like that it's that way, but it is that way. And you were picking up on the psychic abandonment that just pervades our society as a whole. But it's not even a failure. This is an upgrade from back in the time of Moloch, when we drop our kids off in a giant pile and say, good luck, son, you know?
I knew what my job here was from the beginning, James. I knew I was supposed to be breaking generational curses, and I had a job to do. And as it goes, it's all laid out for me. I've been having dreams and visions every night, man. Since I clean my head out, and I started actually manifesting and writing down in a journal and putting it into action. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. when we say things like that's Satanism, or even TI or real, targeted an individual, this is more than real because it's inside of you. See, real is shit that's outside of you that you're convinced is guys, stop saying that real is the ultimate thermometer.
There is no spoon.
It's not. That's not the ultimate thermometer. Real is actually going to be something that you feel more comfortable with because other people obviously see it too, or else we wouldn't be calling it real. So you were not looking at outer reality. You were looking at inner reality. And the inner reality is going to be broadcasted in the symbolism, in the archetype, i.e. the weather is going to have chemtrails, i.e. the Facebook page for the district attorney is going to have a message me button, Alex. It's an ion channel. And when you are looking to complete the circuit, you will find whichever grounding rod is the closest to you, whichever one is available. The disassociation, I think, comes back to this topic we were talking about today in Greece, which is when if you disassociate well enough, you don't have to own anything. Nothing. Of course, you realize that's not working because you still have to suffer the consequences.
Oh yeah.
But that's training your genes. It's targeted individual. Remember, the targeted individual is targeted from the inside. It's you. It's you. Your blossom has opened and it feels like you are being targeted. This is exactly how it feels. This is why it's like the rays are coming through the fucking hotel rooms. I've read about this. I've talked to people in depth about this. I'm not trying to say that I totally get it all, but I do know how these hallucinations are therapeutic and how they have to broadcast themselves somewhere, anywhere on the screen. And it's just so difficult for us to accept that precisely because it's so therapeutic to be disassociated from it. Yesenia, go ahead.
Yeah, just as Alex started speaking, I like pulled out blueprints of mind control. When you're the chapter that you talk about targeted individuals, like you end it by saying the last two sentences, you say, humanity remains prey in the ignorance of demon technology. We cannot defeat a parasite we insist is a hallucination. What are the parasites? Is it just about anything that tries to cannibalize you?
When I wrote Blueprints of Mind Control, I didn't even have the Osiris concept in mind. But now that you're bringing that to me, this still fits. But I feel like I have an even deeper take, because when you curse someone, I want you to picture that you've created a protein shell inside your body, and inside the protein shell is a signature, a delivery slip, a destination charge. The charge is that it wants to find itself out in the world. This is how ion mail works. You've got ion channels. This is how ion mail works. So you create the curse, which means you write the DNA signature of the person that you are cursing, and that this protein shell is now living inside of your body. And it is propelling itself through the universe of your body, through the world of your body, looking for the destination address. It's a curse. Alex sees curses. He sees them. You see curses too. You feel them sometimes. You walk into the room, you can feel the vibe. You sense these things. But what we do not yet know or fully understand is that we are cursing ourselves inside our own body. So the demons are there running around looking for the cell called Alex. I'm going to create right now in my body a protein shell, and it's a giggle curse. It is a 4 cajules giggle curse, and I'm writing Alex's signature on that. My Vivian has cast it out. I couldn't help it. It's already happened. The fact that I thought it is actually the afterthought. That's actually the shadow of what already occurred. There's a half-second delay between the time my neocortex starts to reason what I already did, which was curse Alex with the giggles. I've cursed him with that. So right now, because I have a signature of Alex, and when I hear his voice, I can smell Alex. You have to watch our earlier airships to know what I mean, but when you hear his voice, you're smelling Alex, and by smelling Alex, you are able to write a more precise delivery address. And that delivery address is more effective at finding its target. After you curse something, the vector is released. You cannot let the arrow go. The arrow has its own will. It is thrown. And you will curse things. There are arrows in your body that happened when you were 3 years old. You didn't get a toy. You did get a toy. You saw something that scared you. And you're such a powerful fucking magi that shit's still running around. And it's good. The curses give you a personality. It gives you weird fetishes, weird paranoias, weird triggers. And these triggers give you a personality that quite frankly make you adorable to other people. It's the only thing. If you didn't have these curses, people would feel you're very dry. They wouldn't be able to relate to you and you would suffocate. So even if no one did it, you'd curse yourself. You curse yourself because you want to fit in. I do it. I curse myself because I want to fit in. I try and understand people, so I try and stop all my bullshit and just be like, this is... Man, fuck the police. It's like that. It's whatever it takes because I want human connection. I don't fucking give a shit what the song is playing because it's all chemicals. It's Holocaust is real. Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's fucking go there. Let's do that. Holocaust is a sacrifice, right? Yeah, sacrifice. Well, sacrifice is not a murder, right? Well, it could be. No, it's not. Because if it wasn't, it'd be a murder. Sacrifice is different than a murder. It's what I call sacrifice, which means everyone in World War II died voluntarily because it's a Holocaust. And they're like, that's not what I mean. It's like, I know. I just need to shut the fuck up. I just need to shut up. I need to shut up. Why? Because I don't want to suffocate. I will develop schizophrenia. I already have. You're listening to someone who has it right now. It's why I know what TIs mean, though. I swear to fuck, it's why. It's why I know. The disassociation is a gift. I'm one of the few that says, hey, this is a fucking gift. I get that we're like, oh, you get free pills. You have this. I'm like, no. This is a gift. I don't want free pills. This is a cool thing. Watch me disassociate. You know, and it's a party trick. And everyone else is doing it too. The only difference is you do it louder than everyone else, so people want you on pills. The voodoo I was talking about to Alex, the voodoo is the cops have this blindness because they've been given permission to animize themselves. They get to become outlaws for 7 minutes. They get to film it all in their body cam. Every single thing they do will be judged. They have entered into the most heightened state of awareness you could possibly imagine. Canine dogs are high as fuck because they're always tweaking. They're fucking tweakers. These are tweaker dogs. And they're showing you that the cops that have the canines are tweakers too. They are tweakers. And they're just like, well, where's the drugs? Where's the drugs? Where's the drugs? And as this kid's trying to just come online, he's just trying to come online. He doesn't know what he's saying because the cop keeps pushing him. The cop pulls out a fucking taser. It says, if you don't get out of the vehicle right now, I'm going to tase you, bro. You need to get up and get out right now. And the guy goes, no, I can't. And he lays his head back down. Goes on the radio. Yeah, I can't smell any alcohol, but it's got to be something. All right, you need to get the fuck up right now. You need to get out right now. He could have a neck wound. He could have a head injury. He could have internal hemorrhaging. It doesn't fucking matter. There is no other reason why this guy could have driven into some trees on an embankment. There's no other reason. Look at the way I'm dressed. I have a Kevlar vest on. I have a gun, a taser. I have handcuffs. I have bullets. I have 2 belts on. Did you know that? They wear 2. I have 2 belts on, not 1. I have 2 belts. I have advertising. I have authority. I have certification. This is voodoo. So why are we saying that targeted individual is something that only a few know. A targeted individual understands that that's fucking voodoo. The TI knows that's voodoo, man. That's voodoo, says him. Meanwhile, everyone else doesn't know. They're just like, oh, man, thank you for your service. Thank you for your voodoo-ness. So that's really what it is. And it allows society to function because everyone can do horrible things to each other under the auspice of it's voodoo, right? So what's the difference between being crazy and being perceptive? Go ahead, Lori.
Not much. Go ahead, Lori.
Oh yeah, thanks, Renee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more I'm hanging out with you guys, I think I'm going crazy because I can't. I'm not really able to really connect with people. So it's becoming like really bizarre, and yeah, it's like I'm going insane in some ways. It's like the triangulation. I was thinking about this triangulation. It's like if you get into a contract with another person and then you have a mastermind that's creating this reality and you make a consensual voodoo with, it's like I see all these people and they're like vacant. They're just like not online. And then I'm like, well, what do I do with this? I'm playing, but it's like I'm on a playground and I'm all by myself on the playground. And I just didn't have the strength to go out and play today. And it's really an interesting place to be. Do you think that that it's going to change where that like popcorn's going to pop and the person's going to pop out of their whatever this is that's
of course
they don't even see?
Yeah, that's how I got here.
Yeah.
It's how you got here. It's how Renee got here.
Yeah, I just twitched.
Yeah.
I know. Like, but you guys found each other. And I feel like it's just a strange. Alex is here. I mean, hey. There's just not that many. I don't know. It just feels very it's like a desert island.
Yeah. Yeah, this is I distinctly remember feeling this way. And I've said this before. I'm not trying to take away from what you feel because I don't feel that way right now, Lori. But I do remember feeling that way so very not long ago. and it does come and go in spurts even with the crowd that we have, with the tribe that's allowed to jungle gym around me. It's really a playground is what I have, and kids come over and play and they treat me all kinds of different ways. And sometimes I feel really alone, and sometimes I feel really, really gotten and understood. But when I was feeling alone, I remember having a conversation with myself, and I think you've already had this, honestly, Lori. I think you've already done this, so this isn't going to help you, but I at least want to say it because I think others might be there, which is that when you were there pounding the drum and no one else is around, it's because you are the chief. You are the new tribe in your zone, in your geographical area. And you have to sacrifice more than anyone else because you do not have the social payback to help you. The prana that everyone gives through brethrenship, which I get all the time. Here's Amel. I mean, I get so much warmth from her. I don't mean to single her out. I mean, Eve's great too. Like, all these people are wonderful people. They really charge me. But there was a time when they didn't. There was a time when they weren't there. And I remember leaning into that time, realizing that this is the only way a chief could become a chief. Like, this is the only initiation. Did I want to be a chief? No. But I don't want to starve. I don't want to asphyxiate is a better word. And since I don't want to asphyxiate, obviously Gaia is demanding something of me. She's demanding that I create a circle here in this place. And so I would pick a new moon, and I would build a fire, and I would invite anyone I could. And Nate came. Fucking love that guy. It wasn't just Nate, but just Nate was one of the first to come. He came. He was like, dude, I fucking get it. And he did. He got it. And we stayed at the wildlife center for a while. He was camping there. And every new moon, I just kept hitting that fire. And Nate left. That wasn't always happening. It wasn't always that way. This guy Rand showed up. Holy jeez, this guy Rand. Amazing dude. I still see him lingering every now and then around. So I know he's still here, but his spirit still pervades the place. And I just kept meeting all these amazing people like you, Lori. Like you. And I know that we're far away, but the circuit is there. You are seeing the Lucifer before the sunrise. And it requires you to build a fire when no one's there. And I think you're already doing that. I think you already are, Lori. But
yeah, I had a new moon fire for yeah, I did do a new moon on the 28th. So, and it's not like I'm alone, but in the world of play, I don't really have anyone that can play at my level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like joyfully play. Like, Renee, do you just go out into the world and just play all by yourself all the time?
Yes, I do.
Are you
Yes.
lonely doing that?
Oh gosh, you kidding me? I'm at the park. There's trees, there's animals. When my doggy was around, I took my dog. Sometimes there's people. I just meet people there. So yeah, it's the park. I think that's where we're going to actually head back to. Just, kind of those type of gathering places where it's very equal. Anybody can just walk in and it took me a while to get to this level. You don't just start playing at my level, you guys. Like it had to build to, climbing a structure as an adult and pretending I'm on a ship and watching the sunrise to, now I'm very comfortable out there, but it's taken years. It's like anything with the body. Your body has to regulate to that type of exposure. So, but I think I made some ground for you guys. So you can go out and just feel like, like I say, just take a ball, have a ball in your car. Who knows? There might be a fun park. You just pull over, the sun is setting. You're like, why not? What else would I do? Why not see the set of this day? Mm-hmm. So just that kind of reverence is always in my field. And I'm just I'm called to it, but of me, no pause, or I know pause, that was a big shift for me in my 50s and late 40s. So that's something as women we all get to look forward to. I mean, it's really intense, but it really is so, you have the opportunity to get to know yourself, if you're brave enough to take it. So it's really beautiful. But yeah, the play, it's just, you just have to, I just play like no one's watching, and but you can start in your house. You just start playing in your house like James does it, it's that play state. You just want to kind of be into it. And, yeah. And yeah, it's coming in. And I know you got it. It's just,
well, the thing that I've been practicing, I've been going out dancing.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm dancing by myself. And
Perfect.
I'm a very good dancer, so I can lead and follow. So, but I don't really find anybody inspiring to be led by. But I really am making an intention to be able to co-lead. So to do the dance with a fluidity of energy with leading and following. So I have a couple of candidates that I'm like playing with in the field of, let's see if this person would be willing to co-lead. So like practicing dancing with your eyes closed. Like one person closes their eyes, the other person leads, and then vice versa. But I really haven't gotten to the where the man can actually allow a co-leading type of thing. So I'm kind of looking forward to having that kind of experience, but it kind of does take another person. But what I'm doing right now is just dancing by myself. And it's really very disturbing to people to see me doing this. And it kind of is kind of fun when I'm strong enough to handle not looking like I'm totally insane.
Right.
Well, you make them so uncomfortable. It's they're uncomfortable because they see how loose you are. I was actually at my shop today hula hooping and doing some stuff, and one of my coworkers was there, and his client was just like, "What is going on?" But I'm like, "Hey, man, this is my space. I'm just So I really have lost most of my. I just kind of go for it. I think the more you just start, and then people see you, and then they start to play, and you start this whole. There's actually a fella at the park I go to stretching at the sunrise about 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, look at this. So we talked for a bit, but I had my hoop and my ball. He's like, oh yeah, you got a new device. I go, that's right. I got a hoop now. So yeah, I mean, I just keep bringing more gear. And the fact that spring's coming, you can really get out and get some good playing in. And I think that's what Gaia wants really bad. And you're doing such beautiful art, Lori, and just, just good work, just beautiful work you're doing over there. And yeah, it's a very soft time, but it's a very so we're just right in the edge, and it's a freaking razor, so play hard.
Thanks for the encouragement, you guys. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to encourage you because I also think that that without another human, it really does it's not really sustainable to regulate yourself all the time. And I just want you to consider that too, that maybe you're not supposed to be where you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's really showing up for yourself too, if not more so, to be able to do all the work it takes to uproot yourself properly in a safe way and transport to another place. There's a lot to that. I live in a spot where I really am alone, the same way you are. I don't have that alone anymore. Honestly, I met Renee. Honestly, it just fixes it. It's just the human connection there is just so. So I know that we need these things. I know we do. I know you do, and
that's why your guys' relationship from the get-go was inspiring.
Yeah.
Oh
no, serious. It's an Aquarian relationship. It's very unique.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anyone else that's modeling it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in that other relationship, which there's a lot of that, but y'all play together and I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know y'all Aquarius.
I don't know how, I don't know how it would be able to function in any other way. And I know Renee feels the same way.
Heck yeah.
I think a lot of this has to do with gender. Because I know that gender is not sex. I think a lot of it has to do with that. It has to do with there are different timelines for both of us. I don't want to give away Renee's home life, but there's different things that are there that were not in my timeline, And the Aquarian relationship really is more profound in that way because it allows for such a diverse opportunity for each partner to be themselves. And I think a lot of it has to do with because there's not a fertility component which constantly just keeps you in one mode, you know. There's nothing wrong with a mother and father. I think they're freaking great. But there's also nothing wrong with people saying, hey, I'm not a mother or a father. I'm a Yesenia, or I'm a Lori, or I'm a James. Like these are completely different species, you know? And so how do we satisfy, there's so much regulation that comes from that partner in the house that we're not really even aware of. And it's certainly a great way to breed it on yourself. You every side is the north side when you're alone. So you're going to get all the cold and all the heat at the same time. So it certainly makes you resilient. But you also really have to understand what you need to consciously drink. And Lori, people are intimidated by you. When I met you, I felt that. I'm not going to say I felt like you were intimidating, but I felt how powerful you were, and I could see how that would be intimidating. And I don't want you to change at all. I want you to know that it's going to require you're thumping a certain kind of worm, and that worm is a big one. That's going to be a big worm. That's going to be like in that zone with you. Renee is a big worm. And not to personalize her, but Renee's a big worm. And a couple years ago, she was not ready. She was not a big worm. That was not who she was. It never would have worked. It never would have worked then. Just consciously. For either one of us, by the way. So all of us are moving super fast right now. We're blooming in huge ways, in ways we don't even know. And I think it's okay to lament this part because I think this part's really important. It's just so, it's why I keep going back to the symbiote instead of the sovereign. It's just so, it puts you on your knees in a beautiful way.
Well, I don't want to monopolize. I do have one kind of funny little thing that's, I just don't, I feel I'm ageless. So I think I'm going backwards in age.
Yes.
So I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do 3 years ago. It's like crazy. So I have this young, way younger, like, I don't know, 20 years younger, like magician that is like,
wow.
came on to me like in this kind of weird way. And I was like, well, this Aquarian type of, well, I don't really want any, like, well, we can just play with each other. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe. But I'm having like what, I don't know what this new template is.
Yeah.
I don't want the old one, but I have no clue what the new one is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the magician. Yeah. And then I said, well, let's see if the magician, I said, let's see if you can lead me with one finger. Let's see if that works. And now I'll ask him, let's see if we can co-lead. I think he'd play that way, but I don't know. It's just really interesting to think that maybe this age thing is like, there's no age.
Mm-hmm.
There's just energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And age would be the posture that you have is where the age is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is an open format, and there's no, Lori, please don't feel like you're monopolizing, or I forget how you phrased it. You are the content. Are you kidding? I love it when you show up to these things. I seriously, I want you to come more all the time because you've got some dope thoughts. So, and Yesenia, you don't need to raise your hand. I mean, you can, it's okay, but also there's not really like a mod thing right now. So, yeah.
Okay.
And all
Okay,
the audio is really
just
clean. That's another part of it is sometimes the audio is not clean, and everyone's audio is really clean right now, or at least it seems to be. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
all right, perfect. I just wanted to say like I second that with Lori. Like it sometimes feels very lonely, but I also have that understanding that like I am very powerful. Like I could feel how the energy shifts when I enter the room. It's more so like how to manage that responsibly. Like that's been my journey lately.
Yep.
And like I recently, like I've mentioned in a couple airships, I've cut everybody else off. So I like purposefully put myself through this like lonely journey. And you know what you said like a couple airships ago as well, like I do feel like I'm Gaia's targeted individual. Like
Mm.
like I always told myself the story that people were out to get me or but it's really not. It's just that's how the garden is being watered and
Yes.
that's up to me whether I want to grow or not. Um, and a little fun anecdote like that I keep thinking about is like I'm probably the youngest one here. Like, and is it xenophobic of me to think that? Because like I have this like innate, you know, programming of like respect your elders. Like, and when you guys talk about like 9/11 and stuff, I was 2 years old when 9/11 happened. Like, I don't even remember
Wow.
it.
Wow.
I don't remember it. I don't remember 9/11. Like I have no recollection of that. Like what woke me up was COVID. Like
Yeah.
watching the world shut down before my eyes. I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like this doesn't this smells fishy. Um,
Wow.
what else? What else? Oh, we were talking about the whole partner thing and the you brought up gender, and this was the voicemail I left you. So if you
Yeah.
hear it, just
Yeah.
skip it. I said in your book, Arc of Baphomet, you wrote, "This is why it feels so good to find someone with the parts we are missing. We call this feeling being in love because we feel at home. The surrogate homecoming feels so good we crave more intimacy. We don't feel shame when naked with a lover because the piece we miss is finally home. We long to join these missing twins forever in a binding ritual where we join them together somehow. And so we do by smushing our genitals as close to each other as we can. We get so excited about this because every part of our body feels this is how it was always supposed to be. And we orgasm. This is chapter 12, Another Side of Adam. So my questions are, what is your idea of homosexual intercourse in regard of finding something that is missing
Mm-hmm.
if you smash the same parts, so to speak? And what do you see the oracle of mythology depicting about homosexuality?
Um, Lori, this is what I mean. Like, you work so hard to write a book, and someone reads it, and they're like asking you questions about it one day, and you didn't know them before, and you just feel like, oh my God, this is happening, and you try and be cool and not talk about it, but this is it. This is what the chief does. And you lay those words down and it fucking happens. I don't know how it works, but it does. And thank you so much for this question because, yeah, you mash genitals because this person either has the gland that you do not have, or this answers your question, or can relate to not having the gland that you do not have. Both are avenues for attraction. Both are avenues for I get you. So love would fit on both sides of this the exact same way. You could be here to feel unrequited. And you could enter into a genital relationship that would unrequite the missing gland, and you would find that to be perfect. The perfect bunk cake for you to swim in your Taurus and do all that stuff. It would be amazing, right? So I would put it this way. I don't see how there is any such thing as a homosexual relationship at all. I do not see how there's anything close to a heterosexual relationship at all. I don't mind us having the words for it. I seriously don't. I got no beef. You know, we're going to say, look, if you want to do some some Y chromosome and an X chromosome, all that math works. All that works. But that doesn't mean that you're a homo or a heterosexual. It's both of us, both of this. If you want to relate in a sexual way, then it works perfectly. If you want to know yourself as, I am the Y chromosome. I am the one that misses these other twins. I have the twins of testy. I do not have the twins of ovary. I have the twins inside of me. I have opposite DNA literally running backwards, by the way, this other personality running backwards down my chain. And that is expressed probably in the upside down ghost of your female, your alter sex, your shadow, your anima or your animus. But this is you. It's not a separate person. The funny thing about DNA is that you cannot create an Abel without a Cain. If you think about the way that the shadow self works, you don't get to roll 18s in strength, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, constitution, and dexterity. I can't believe I remembered all those. You don't get to roll 18s in all of those because your shadow self will be a 0 strength, a 0 intelligence, a 0 wisdom, a 0 charisma. It's just the way that the math works. It's nothing personal. There's no way to roll and have the opposite number of that roll also be a good number too. So your shadow self, I really mean this. If you consider what happens with Enoch, the perfect seed is removed from the equation before time starts to degrade it. It's perfect. That perfection could literally mean that at the very point before the shadow and the non-shadow self, I'm trying to think of a better word for that, start to eat each other. The moment before they start to eat each other is your Enochian seed. It is the first equation, which is here's everything that I want in the world, and here's all the consequences that are going to come because of everything that I want in the world. And they are both in the same DNA, but they're cradling each other. One has they're 69, I'm sorry, but they are. The DNA, the two different DNAs are 69 in each other. They are. And this is why the shadow cannot be avoided. It's why you never see the other twin. It's why there's room for it, but you still miss it. So I fear it sounds political or social for me to say, but there's really no such thing as being a homosexual or heterosexual. You're a collection of all these glands. Even the ones that you're missing are glands that you have. The sacrum is a tail that's been fused. It's there. Your tail is there. It's been fused into a coccyx. It's given you a foundation to leave the zodiac and climb into this other archetype of man. So I think that these words will cease to exist. Maybe not cease to exist, but they'll just expand so much that they'll almost be repetitive. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. Like these terms would be obsolete as our consciousness expands or elevates.
It seems like they already are. And this sounds backwards, but it seems like the word breeders needs to have a better PR campaign because that itself, breeder, really is just the great word for like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a breeder. Like that's great. And I don't mind us calling it, I want to be a father or mother. I have zero beef with anyone's language. But that means everyone gets to have their language, see? That means everyone does. I don't get to pick which political party I say, well, you guys get to have your own language, but not them because they lost the election. And, that's what we're doing. We're having this psychic war where we just keep fighting each other back. So isn't this just our left brain and our right brain, though? Really, just keep in mind, when you curse yourself, you created an exosome inside your body and it's hunting it down. So let's come back to this a second. The reason why I want to come back to this a second is because you can baptize yourself. You can decurse yourself. I've done this before. You can picture an orange goo if you want. You lay down on your back when you're not sleeping because you're laying down purposely for this event. This is the event that you're laying down for. So if you happen to already be laying down, you're going to have to fucking get up. Go walk around and then say, I'm going to go do this event. Then you set the ritual. You have a curtain. You open the curtain. You close the curtain. In between, you set your circle. And you lay yourself down and you picture that, hang on a second. You picture that the circle is cast and you are ready to holographically do magic on yourself. And you begin at your feet and you create your own CAT scan. It's this orange goo and it begins at the bottom of your toes and you bring it up. And whatever it is you want to do to your body, that orange goo is your chemical solution. It's plasma. So you set the intent of that. And as long as you're in flow state, I recommend Dead Can Dance. You can play whatever you want. I recommend Dead Can Dance. Put some of that shit on, man. Put on something that doesn't have lyrics. Something that's just more like, hey, I see this. You're gonna like. It's just better because you don't have the literary noise coming in. So this isn't like I have to do my journal. What have I had today? It's 1:15, and how do I feel emotionally on a scale of 1 to 10? And it's no. This is, I'm fucking doing magic. All right, you're gonna take off your pants and lay down in your bed because you're doing this orange scan, and you begin the scan, and the whole time up, you catch yourself failing as a magician. You catch yourself. You get to the shin, and you're like, whoa, back up. Man, there's a mole down there. I know I fucking missed it. And you have fun with just how retarded you are as a plasmaticist. Seriously, you have fun with, I cannot believe how fucking dense I am. Because the entire time as you're moving up, you're realizing, I can't see shit. I can't see a thing. I can feel. Yeah, or squirrel. Exactly. Yeah. Who said that? Exactly. Yeah. It's so easy to do, but this should be playful. This is not one of those, the Buddhist meditator never sees squirrel. No. This is, and actually that's not even fair to Buddhism. I got to stop beating up on those guys. But guys, you want the suffering. So anyway, the point is that this is supposed to be a playful act because you're a magician. This is your calligraphy. This is your Reiki. You are expressing. This is one of the few times you get to do this. So you get to think about that. You get to take your time with it. If it's tedious, something's wrong. I swear. Don't go Enochian on me, because you'll end up with John D. You'll end up believing someone like Edward Kelly is telling you got to recite this thing 369 times, and if you do that and then let him diddle your wife, you're going to get this magic. It's like true story. You don't fall for that. If the magic requires that you put this much time memorizing something, you are falling for their voodoo, aren't you? Because you've invested all the time memorizing what it has, then you feel that it has to pay off because you invested all the time. You know how you read Crowley? You open the book, you read 3 pages, and you say, this is shit. That's how you read Crowley. And you do that over and over and over and over again. You do never, ever sit down and say, oh, I found this and I read through it on a full moon and I came forth and I recognize his brilliance. It's like, no, dude, you were failing miserably. No, this is not. This is how spectators do magic. This is how Oxford University takes the truth about Greek music and just tries to melodize it and has to rush through it, and no one can understand a fucking word because they're like, this sucks, we don't want to suck, so this is how we think, we're academically elitely dedicated to the... It's like, no one's doing magic correctly. And the ones who insist they say stupid shit on Twitter like, well, you don't need money. And they're just like, oh, you don't fucking get it, man. You don't even know what magic is if you think magic isn't money and money isn't magic. You have no business being here if you do not understand that. Every element is magic. Every piece of bird poop is a sacred object you can place in your medicine bag. You can carry the bird poop wrapped in a saran wrap so it looks like some kind of illegal drug and stuff it inside your medicine bag for a year. And a year later, pull that out and go, holy fuck, I have dried powdered bird poop. What can I do with this? And you recognize that you can do something with it because for a year, you've charged this battery. And it's not sacred. It didn't come from the teat of the sacred cow that was milked on the holy moon. No, it was a squirt of diarrhea that fell out of a half-dead animal that you found. It's this is you. Stop pretending that the outside of your body is the outside of your body. Everything is magic inside of you. The macrophagy, phage. I want to say macrophage. I think that's the proper way to say it. Obliterates everything. In the ocean are just used parts. Used parts that are ready to be recycled, turned into homes for hermit crabs, do all the other stuff. And that's you. You have this world. And you build this reef and do all this stuff with it.
Yeah, it's very synchronistic. Like yesterday I was having this like sparring match of a conversation with someone. They were insisting that magic is ignorance and science is the discovery of said magic. And I was on the opposite end of that, where it's like magic is science. Like it's the same. We just, it depends on what kind of goggles or like
Sure.
perception you're seeing it from.
Yeah, it's petrified magic. Science is petrified scriptural magic. And it's real. It makes sense. And if you want to go into Aquarius, you're going to have to shit talk. You have to stop shit talking science. And you need to treat it as a magic. Because it's one of the most prolific, profitable magics around. It freaking great.
You know, I wanted to share a little on that stream you did on the Greek thing. You know, in the Quechua language in Peru, they don't have a written language. They have weavings. And it's interesting because the weavings of like the red and the black, you were talking about the Nile being black. And then, well, I forgot what the red was, but...
Red Sea?
The Red Sea, yeah. Well, the red is representative of the female, like unfertilized, and the black is fertilized. And so you can read like their language on all the weavings. So I did a big deep dive in when I was spending a lot of time doing the Peru stuff on what the language of their symbols are. And it kind of is super interesting because then the other part that I really related to was the flute thing. It's one of the, you know, you have these spirit animals, and mine is the vulture, the turkey vulture. And I found on the side of the road a freshly killed by a car, a vulture, and I put it in my little refrigerator and buried it till the ants ate all the flesh off of it. And one of my shaman sisters made me flutes out of the vulture bones of the
Wow.
so I was gonna I thought I'd take them out one time and like play the sounds of the vulture flute. But because it's like I didn't realize like how profound certain things are. I wrote a whole story about it because it was so profound. You know, on the Mississippi River, where the mound people, you know, this like ancient culture, the level of the salt or the memory of the mounds, and the mound culture here is as old as Egypt, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So but I really related to that bird song because it was like then I was like looking on that Merlin app and I was like all of the sounds over the sounds over the sounds with all the birds at the same time. I like put it up. I had like 10 birds, you know, and it was all kind of like in that dissonance, and it was like that's the first language.
Yeah.
You know, that was really good live.
I'm just so thankful I get to like fall into stuff like this and just keep. I tell you, ever since this whole Homer didn't see blue, it's been such a gold mine. It's just seriously, and I think this bird thing it's just exactly would not have happened had I not have thought about this in this way. And it doesn't have to be right. It's just so much fun. Like it could turn out to not be right. And it's just so much fun to even explore and think about, but it does really feel righteously correct because especially the scientism in part, when you realize that there is no scripture that shows how much the brain's frontal lobe grew from ancient Greece until now. There's no way of really knowing that. We'll have certain clues about maybe some kind of certain diseases that would be, we're able to trace like how old someone must have been and stuff like that. But it's such a crapshoot. And so it makes sense that we would assume that everyone is just always the same level of consciousness. And I tell you, we're just on a whole new precipice. And TIs, conspiracy theorists, these are the that oily film on top of the surface that you're only going to see it from a few sides right now, but it's a real life texture. And you and I are I think this is what it looks like to petrify a hallucination. The different wavelengths that we're tapping into is our way of petrifying the hallucination in new territory that's never been touched before. There's new words, new approaches, new definitions, or actually new understandings of definitions is a better way, because I've never had to change a definition. I've told you, well, but ego, let me look at the Greek. How is this not the RNA transcribing itself? It's just the chapel of self-evidence is strong. All of us are in the congregation.
Yeah, I wanted to like add into that the whole TI thing. Like if you go on TikTok, if anyone still has TikTok, like they've euphemized it into chosen ones, and that's been a while, like around for a while. Like the whole you're not a TI, you're a chosen one,
Yeah.
and even like being gang stalked per se, whatever that means, in terms of like, you know, having ops or whatever follow you around. But I feel like that's one way of it's like you mentioned the very first interview I've seen of yours, you described the different hurts of like viewing like a WWE match, and that really like knocked the socks off my feet because, you know, I was one of those people that's like, okay, it's not real, but that's like red belt. But when you go up like 10 more hertz, you understand, you know,
Yeah.
getting slammed with a fucking chair is pretty real.
Exactly.
It's real, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, like seeing that, okay, maybe this is happening, but why is it happening? And there's probably more magic that I could tap into if I step up and I kind of calm my amygdala down, or just
Yeah.
try to like self-soothe and function in the world. Because just being on that they're out to get me, I just remember the paranoia. I like taped my phone cameras because they were watching me. It's like you need like being here where like I can compassionate more with what's going on and try like sitting back and enjoying the show. It's just so much better for my nervous system.
So you first developed the appetite for more consciousness, and it required you to put black tape over the cameras, and because you open the holes, the channels, and you're like, I need some fucking curtains on this bitch like really fast, and you did that. And you finally got more used to those curtains opening more and more. And nothing's changed except for your appetite for light is more fulfilled than it was before. This is called the onceler. And Dr. Seuss' character is called the onceler. It was the dude that lived behind the shutters that the Lorax was pleading to. And that onceler is a symbiote who is his own chief and just feels forsaken. And he's forsaken because he can't pick up his foot anymore and stomp. He just lost it. He just doesn't have it anymore. And this is a good hill to die on. I really mean this. Something that I told myself, Lori, when I was first starting to live stream and writing my column, and before any of the books, and maybe Six Dragons was out, but it was more of a collection of all the poetry I'd ever written. So I didn't really give a shit if people liked it or not. I was just glad I edited something. But the point is that I remember having to tell myself that this is a great way to die. Like if I can't make it, if I can't do this, it's really cool that I'm going out like this, that I'm out here, I'm just cranking it out, just doing it, just saying what I think, and just really trying to stay honest to that. It was so long ago, but when I started to see through QAnon, I saw things that other people around me didn't want me to see, and that really was the beginning of the rise from the same journey all of us had. That was the TI. I was attacked by people that had been swearing up and down they wanted the truth, and then I show it to them, and then they fucking cut me, and it's like, well, you guys suck, man. Why are you doing that? So it's this is what it's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel this way. It has to burn, and it doesn't have to hurt. It has to burn until you enjoy it, and then once you enjoy it, it doesn't hurt. It really is that. Once you enjoy it, it doesn't hurt, and it's not a fake kind of, oh, I'm gonna like celery now. Oh, I fucking love celery. It's not that. When you start to realize, oh fuck, I have to keep this appetite up, but I don't want to destroy myself, because that's the easiest way to get calories. It's just fucking set something on fire that means something to you. And you can do the slow burn and then really, really satisfy your need for dilation. You still have a hunger for more. I think you need to keep feeding that. And the only way you're going to keep feeding that, in my opinion, is you need to constantly scan yourself. I really want you to look for the prejudices that you exercise every day and consider that this is a loss of calories. That's all.
Wow.
That you're losing a lot of really important plasma just because of that. That it's not because you're right or wrong, or first of all, you have to trust nature. This is why I always fucking say this, because if you trust nature, you're going to be able to let go. But if you don't trust nature, then you're going to I have to save nature. I have to fix this. The lucid, they're coming. The 13 black black pregnant Ivanka Trumps. I mean, I love this analogy. This is fun as fuck. I don't know if you guys are sick of it, but seriously, 13 black Ivanka Trump clumps, right? They're dressed in black and they have a baby at the same time. All 13 babies crawl into a circle. They eat each other. The one baby that wins is crowned the Luciferian. This is fun as fuck. All the dilation is there. You and I are not hurt. We can talk about it. We can create it. It makes sense that we have this. Here's how to do it. First, trust nature. You have to do that. Stop telling yourself this really, really retarded fantasy that you have supernatural powers that God did not think about because you were able to do things that are unnatural. I mean, just think about how absurd that is, that you're just like, oh, I'm so powerful. I'm doing things God would never. It's hilarious. Okay. It's hilarious. With this though, once you trust nature, here's how you see everybody. You ready? This is the ultimate secret to good magicians. I want to make sure there's no nefarious spirits around. I think we're good.
Okay.
If you were on a playground, it doesn't matter how tall the child is. Everyone is just, it's recess. It's 80 years long. You've been playing so long, you just forgot. These are all kids. These are all tall children that are playing make-believe. Over here, they built a fort out of bricks. They've created stickers that they give each other, and they've constructed metallic sandwich boards that they can hang on their shoulders and drive around, and they call them cars. They've invented traffic laws for these sandwich boards that they've created. They have prisons, just like you and I when we play Indians and we get captured and we get thrown in jail. They have that too. And they really, really take this stuff seriously. They have bicycles with red and blue lights. They pull over other bicycles. And if you're another bicycle and you have a red and blue light on and you are not one of them, they will take your bike. They will civil asset forfeiture every single thing you have, because this is how serious they are about playing. If they catch you with a house plant, they are going to take your house. They are playing a game. There is no way you could do this seriously. There's no way that you could be a cop and do what I just told you seriously. They are playing a game. It is recess, and they are hungry just like you for consciousness. They are not NPCs. They are not lower forms of consciousness. They have the same hunger you do. They've found ways to satisfy it that, quite frankly, you need to learn from. You need to look at the paramedic and go, why you got crazy eye, loco? And you need to check out the paramedic and see his posture and watch what it's like to be a walking fucking tweaker all the time. Watch how he treats the world. Watch how he treats patients. You drink from that. You drink from that because it shows you this is what all paramedics are like. This is what all cops are like. Not in a they all suck. This is a showing you something. It's showing you. The real world is just, it's shivering. And so we don't tell ourselves what happens in a hospital. We just don't, you know. I've said this before, but I've got 5 sheets of paper that $70,000 they were able to extract from my mom's body before she was clinically brain dead. Like, I'm not trying to bring you down, but this is not because they're evil. You understand this. It's not. You're looking at a recess, guys. You're looking at, these are tall children. That's it. That's all they are. They never grew up because there's no such thing. There's no such thing. We are playing a game called We grew up. That's the game. And I'll tell you something. You know what did it? Puberty. Puberty did it. Puberty petrified this so hard that you just bought it. And you have to buy it. Look at what's around. Look at everyone's playing these games, but there's this one singular rule that's holding the whole fucking thing together. And it's if you have a Y chromosome, you got to act like this. And if you've got an X chromosome, you got to act like this. And now we're wondering why people, and it's not just now, we're wondering why people since Boy George, since Wham, since Duran Duran have been hitting up against this thing, have been poking at this thing, saying, let's pull this thread. And everyone else is like, are you fucking nuts? If you pull that thread, the fabric of society. And you're like, yeah. And it's like when they said, James, the government will shut down. And I'm like, wait, they can do that? This sounds like a great idea. And then they just turn it back on again. And I'm like, oh, we almost made it. And I was counting how long the government stayed shut down, thinking this would be a sign of progress. It turned out it's not. It's not. They shut it down for like maybe 36 hours. It's always on a Memorial Day weekend because they just want to be able to shut the park so people can write, hey man, they shut the park. We need to pay more taxes. And it's beautiful because they're playing. They say we own these mountains called the Mittens. We own them. We own this. It's national park because nothing else is, because we have something called borders. And look, we land on the moon. And of course you're going to hear stories like this. How else do you keep attention? Guys, there's no way that you could, if you're a teacher and you need everyone to stop and have some juice, you're going to have to go out on the playground and you're going to have to put on a giant hat with bells on it. You're going to have to pour yourself in anti-inflammatory grease. You're going to have to set yourself on fire. You're going to have to twirl batons. You're going to have to run around out there because you're going to have to out-dilate every other person on the playground long enough to get them to have some juice. It's the only way. There's no other way to do it. You're not going to be able to reason. Those kids are playing foursquares. You can't reason with them. This is life and fucking death over there. You can't do that. How do you get their attention? You have to out-imaginate them. What is Trump doing? What is Musk doing? What is Bill Gates doing? What is everyone in the world that you know? What is Kanye West doing? What is Beyonce doing? These are imaginateurs, powerful fucking magi. And you're losing calories by saying, why are you so retarded? Or why are you such a fuckhead? Or why are you so evil? Or why is this is recess. There's no why. Why are you playing pin the reason on the donkey? Why are you running around insisting that everyone has to have a certificate from you, saying that whatever the fuck they're playing makes sense to you, right? I mean, I'm talking to myself, but it's like, this is where I lose all my calories.
Yeah.
Is that I'm like, your game has to make, what are you, raping each other? Well, that doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why? Why do I not trust nature? Why don't I trust nature? If guys, I can't tell how many times a bumblebee hits a spider web and I'm just like, fuck, what do I do? And I have a very specific thing that I've told you about turtles and how my rules for picking up turtles. I have an even more intricate procedure for flies caught in spider webs. There's no right answer here. It is a case-by-case, moment-by-moment basis because it's the only opportunity for your morality to flourish. And when I say flourish, I mean like fail, like fucking fail. Like do exactly the wrong thing, but stay present the whole time. This is fucking magi. This is what Alex is doing, what he wanted to do. He wanted to be present. He's writing the email. He's trying to remember. He's like, I could not fucking hold this presence, and he loses it. This is practice. This is success. This is success. And this is where we lose our calories. We think it's not recess, which means we take it all too seriously. We think everything has to make sense, which is hilarious. It's if you picture your body shedding, you are a coat of many colors. If you stop shedding, you glow. You glow like Moses. Your face glows the moment you stop shedding. This is what it's called to be beaming, isn't it? Oh, they're beaming. The person who's beaming is not shedding. The energy is all around you. The only thing that is causing it to be dim is your ability, not curse, your ability to shed it. To shed it. This is a skill. Piloerection. All of your pores open and you beam light. I'm going to play a song. Hope you guys stick around. But if don't feel that you have to, but yeah, let's do a little break here.
It's like so powerful. So I was thinking about who I had the most trouble with on the playground.
Mm-hmm.
And where did I shed the most? And it's teachers always wanting to be the boss, boss of me, the teachers,
Right.
because like they're playing teacher or they're playing parent. And you have got to be the baby all the time. it's like, but they took it so serious, that needing to be, and that's where I feel like that was such a powerful thing, because in this dancing world where you have to play this game, that's the teacher where I've lost my glow when I allow that to come. I triangulate an issue and I lose my calories.
Mm-hmm.
That was powerful. Really, really helpful. Really, really helpful.
Yep. You also were pruned to become more resilient by them through the attack of your creativity, of your both things are exactly true. And what we can consciously see really is how I think this is the real power of placebo, is when we look back at something and have a specific perspective, or go through an alchemical perspective about something, i.e. grow more compassion for something else much deeper is happening. Perhaps the compassion itself is learning how to open more ion ports, and that's just what it feels like. And you would only be able to open those more because you can trust someone more. And check it out. The only reason why you would be able to trust someone more is actually because trust does not exist ever. Instead, what you have is the ability to simulate what someone would do. You're able to simulate them with so much precision that you have what we call trust, but really it just means that you feel that nothing could happen that would put you in danger. And this would feel like trust. If you were powerful, it would be very hard to feel in danger around something that's very weak. So you gain strength by building friendships with people because of that. They give you predictable, reptilian, recordable behavior. I mean this in a good way. The constellations are burning. Hey, if I touch Yesenia, if I poke her, she's like, hey, don't touch me. This is fine. This is predictable behavior. I know where her boundary is. I know where this is good. I work with this. That guy's a crudgety old man, but he's always a crudgety old man, which is why we accept him here at the diner. You are predictable. You can be whatever you want. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You're breeding trust because you're constantly doing the same thing. So, and trust isn't really real. Trust is what ion channels feel like, what they feel like open. So if you take the orange goo and try and think, instead of scanning the bottom of your toes up, you're still scanning your body, but I want you to change lenses. And instead of scanning through your skin, from the topical bottom of your skin up, I want you to scan specific cells inside of your body. And you're like, well, there's like 3 trillion of them. I'm like, yeah, it's no problem. These are cells that you've already know where they are. One of them is called Mrs. McBee. Your 2nd grade teacher is a cell in your body. And you know where that is because you know how to reference that DNA, that signature. You know how to point to it. You know how to go there, and maybe that's the shadow of who you are. Holy fuck. Maybe that's the 69 upside down shadow figure. And that's how you recognize where these go. But you have the address to Mrs. McBee, your 2nd grade teacher. She's in your body, which means you can holographically access her at any time. So let's go there. It's been 30 years. Mrs. McBee has grown into a giant clump of cells because that was a daughter cell that you first met, and you put a marker on it saying, hey, you're Mrs. McBee. And that daughter cell duplicated and mitosis and meiosis itself and spread throughout the place. And it's still in your body, but now it's much, much more complex than it used to be. It's grown its own roots. Why? Because every time you've thought about Mrs. McBee over the last 20 years, you've flown to that part of your body and you've inserted another cell next to it. And you said, Mrs. McBee was a bitch, or Mrs. McBee was so kind to me. And you went and you plucked that garden, and that garden's still there. And this is what we call memories. Memories are just holographic roadmaps to a cell inside your body that you assigned to a particular person. This means that the body of Osiris does not actually have to know every single person. Instead, this is like a pointing device. Remember, you are the dolphin that has jumped above the surface. You are so much longer than that. The dolphin that's jumped above the surface only needs to memorize, only needs to assign cells inside the body of Osiris of people that you've touched, that you've smelled in some way. If you see a video, you smell them, don't forget. But it would only be people that you've had to have known or seen or understood. What is technology doing? It's allowing you're forced to. You have no choice. You have no choice. You have a Kanye West cell in your body that you've assigned. You have no choice. You have all these more cells now because you have more ion channels that are quantumly entangled to other cells in your body because your consciousness is growing. Your consciousness is growing. A baby grows friends because a baby's conscious roots grow into the fabric of society around it. So the more people you know, the more roots your assemblage point has in this textural place called consciousness.
Okay, so because you've talked about demons and demonology, especially in Blueprints of Mind Control, and you depict that demons could be anything. Also in Technology of Belief, you also kind of eradicate the whole Hollywood definition of evil. Um, so what are beneficial psychic programs? And to add to that question, I've also seen the videos like of your 400 episode era where you talk about like Jesus technology and even Holy Spirit technology.
Mm-hmm.
And you deem this as good demonology, so to speak.
Yeah. So a good sword is a sword that is in the hands of someone who's mastered it. And an evil sword is the same sword in the hands of someone who hasn't mastered it. So the sword itself is not good or evil. Same for the demon. The demon is a creature of air, so is the sword. A demon is a saber of will. It's a projectile of will. I curse you. I smite you with love. I send you support through this time of tryingness. I send you love. I've been thinking about you. These are all demons. These are all curses. They're all curses. I flipped out when I looked at the etymology. They're all curses as cures. This is medicine. And the tongue has a whip to it, a fish hook as a bend. If you're going to grab something, you're going to need some fingers. And so magic has these qualities to it. It's not safe. Magic isn't safe. I can insult you with a word. I can come up with a word and throw it at you. And through practice, I could practice my throwing stars. And really, when I spit out a word, that's just an ion channel that's just spitting out these messages into my own body where I'm secreting how much I hate you. And so I get to do that to myself. And I get to hide that that's what's happening. I get to hide that that's what's happening because I am the Kali and I really don't know what I'm doing. So why are we trying to pretend that I have to be like consciously upright and aware of this thing? I think the only compass you have, if you really go deep into the water and you realize there's no bottom, the only compass you really have is this flow state, this intimacy. It's not ecstasy, it's intimacy. This internal kind of guidance of, man, this just feels right. This feels good. It's vibe is the alchemy of space. Is this concept? It's any architecture is going to be the perfect place to jam, and you don't want to practice and then come regurgitate what you practiced somewhere else. You want to plug in and play. It's a playground. And you just forgot is all.
So like for instance, like being brought up mostly like Christian, and you've mentioned that salvation technology.
Mm-hmm.
So like believing that, you know, Christ is, you know, your salvation and that's your ticket to heaven, and that feeling right before there, why would that feel right before, but it doesn't feel right now? It's just
Oh, this
like
is,
different types of
yeah.
hurts.
Oh, you're hitting some gold now. So what feels right is such a, I'm the one who came up with this. So I'm saying that I've used horrible inability to even point at what this means. Digestion's probably the closest thing. Sugar tastes good, but it doesn't feel right. Certain sugars. Certain salts taste good, but don't feel right. But it's certain salts. There's a digestive formula that I can have that maximizes what feels right. What gives me the most dilation in perpetuity with the least amount of inflammation or regret is a very complex look at a 8-glanded organism that is missing one of those 8 glands and is trying to satisfy all 8 of its fingers at the same time. Your fingers drink what they touch, and they touch everything. You can't not touch something. This is a rumor we have. So you're always drinking, and you're simply learning how to maintain this kind of gesture. I've never been able to do this, but younger, I remember there were other kids that could somehow like drink like a lot of beer, like a lot, like they open up some sort of portal where they bypass into their stomach or something. It's a skill that's quite dilating, because it showed me that I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was even a way. That's a very efficient way to drink a lot. So consciousness really works the same. And if you keep insisting that you deserve to feel orca, that you deserve to feel as deep as you can, you're going to have no choice probably but to hide it, because you're living in a fucking society that's not going to put up with this. They just aren't. It's okay. And you're going to feel targeted at first. And then you could stop on the beach and say, oh, I feel targeted, and I found someone else that feel targeted, and he sent me a CIA PDF that has all these black marks on it, which clearly means it must be true. And the black marks have shown me that, oh, the reason why I feel this way is because someone outside of me is purposely evilly doing something tricky, and as long as I vote for or don't vote for, or as long as I follow or do not follow this, that this will and now you're lured in, because you're not lured in because you're fooled. You're lured in because your appetite has been satisfied. That's how you're lured in. You found the perfect eddy to hang out in, and you're like, this works for me. This works for me. This works for me. We're going to get the deep state. This works for me. And who am I to judge this? You know who I am? I'm a dude that's on the playground insisting that it's not recess. It's a lesson I've had to learn myself. What's wrong with saying it's the deep state? That's brilliant. If that's what feeds you, that's brilliant. So to me, TIs are younglings. They're not chosen ones. They're ones that were satisfied, feeling special, and then say, I'm done. I'm going to stop now. And that might sound insulting, but it's true. These are shaman that decided they've had enough. They just wanted to get the little private stripe and say, now I'm done. This is why it's not going to feel necessarily good, but it's still going to feel real to keep going, because you have to go alone. It's nighttime. Everyone else is asleep. Why are you wide awake? You're going to take off your clothes. You're going to go outside. You're wandering through your neighborhood with no clothes on. You don't know why. You think it's because you're a pervert. You think it's because you're a pervert, and you've just accepted that you're a pervert. But you're not playing with yourself. You're wandering around with no clothes on, and you've left your clothes at home, and you were exposed, but you're vulnerable, but you don't want to be seen. So it's not like you want to be exposed. Why the fuck are you doing this? It's because you're a pervert, James. It's because you're a pervert, Jimmy. It's because you're a pervert. Okay, so I'm a pervert. What did I do? Well, it's probably Satan. It's probably because, fucking Satan. Piece of shit, Satan. Pervert. Piece of shit, Satan. Satan, pervert. Who is that? That's me. That's my disassociated self saying, you don't deserve this appetite. Fucking pervert. Look at you. Look at you. You put on your ninja boots now with nothing else on? This is a great look for you. Why don't you put on your ninja helmet and your ninja boots and just go free ball? Why are you naked, you fucking pervert? And you know why I was naked? Because it was the only time I felt alive during the day. It was a fucking magic ceremony. And after everyone else went to bed, I could fucking breathe. Holy fuck. God, these fucks are so closed off. Nobody wants to play fucking magical wizard. Nobody wants to fucking throw down some serious psychic jousting. Nobody.
Yeah, I agree. No one wants to play Pandora's box. They just want to keep it locked up in the corner.
Yeah. So I think that I think that I was... See, none of this is logical. None of this is conscious. More importantly, none of this is legal. But everything that I did was absolutely necessary. I was my own magician. I had to forge my own way. I had to find my way through Dagobah, past the thing of you're a pervert. I had to get past that. I had to get past that because it was like, I don't want to be a pervert. Do you realize how it's probably a lot of digestion, just feeling like, okay, I'm a pervert. I bet you that's a pretty dilating place to live. If you can accept that you are a pervert, that would give you permission to be a pervert. Therefore, you've created an eddy yourself. In your own river, you've created an eddy for yourself to hang out in, and all you have to be is a sexual deviant. It writes itself. Guys, the raccoon is here. I can hear you. I'm just stepping away for a sec.
Oh, the raccoon is there.
Oh.
Walking at the window looking for a little snack. Wow, this is just really relaxing. I'm actually just laying on the couch, just listening to you guys talk. I hope everybody in chat is having a good time. Oh, yeah. Well, Lori?
I said, this couple of summers ago, I got this little stock tank pool, and I I go out in the summertime and I sunbathe naked and I swim in my pool naked. And
I love it.
I don't have a privacy fence. So it's kind of like I didn't realize how dilating it is to do something so risky, but somebody would have to kind of look in my backyard. And I have a neighbors that live kind of close, but it's a couple of gay guys. And so I warned them. I said, I'm going to be out there naked. So they said, no worries.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't realize how dilating it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what it's like feeding me to do, like these dilating things.
Yeah.
That's just an interesting food source. I'm like, wow.
So some people will go hang gliding, jump out of planes, all kinds of things. And this is really why we pick our jobs. This is why some people do some things. Most of it is conscious appetite. And that's why you got to be careful about if your appetite is deep and you're living in a place that doesn't have that kind of food, it's going to be a lot of brain damage. It's going to be a lot. And there's just so much regret. I have so much regret in the brain damage. Just all the times that I just kept insisting, I can handle this, versus just being like, I can't handle this. Like that would have been great. You know what I mean? Like that would have been so great. So.
Well, where's the place to go? I mean, really, where do you go?
I was about to ask.
Yeah.
Where
to find?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I do what I do. I mean, I'm not trying to be all like, look at me, but like, that's why I do what I do. And people are always like, why do you do Airship? Not always, but they're like, well, why do you do Airship? It's like, because of this. Mm-hmm. Because I want to find, I want this to be more normalized. I want it to be more okay that people require more of an appetite. Someone posted the other day, they're like, autism is not a gift. And my reply is, shamanism is not a gift. Like you're saying the exact second thing. This thing that we don't like that's in society is fucking bugging the shit out of me is not a gift. It's like, well, obviously it's not. Look at what you're posting. And isn't this the only way you could be a shaman? I mean, isn't this literally the only way? It would have to be dressed like this. It would have to be dressed like this. I'm not saying that all autists are shaman or all shaman are autists, but I'm saying that this is the first time that the petrification of shamanism is it's just like spilling its guts all over the place. It's in the street, and it's in the street because of these coat of many colors. If all these rainbows are coming out of your pores all the time, think how much psychic energy we're wasting so we can't see it. Like, fuck, that's a lot. That's a lot, man, that we're putting into not seeing that stuff,
Isn't this kind of what you mean when you talk about Hades? That like that in order to not see it is really like where all the calories are being used.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Hades is such a rich place, because we keep dumping all our cash into it. All our caloric cash to not see it is just
and I think that you bring up a really good point. I mean, your story about, walking around naked at night had me thinking about like not just doing things like that are really dilating, but and as a writer of fiction yourself, I'm sure you know what I mean by this, that like even if you don't feel like you have the calories to go and like have physical experiences that are going to dilate you, that you can simulate that through writing or some other creative outlet.
Yes.
Good point.
Such a good point. That's why I think writing, God, man, it's just such a such a powerful magic. I mean, it, you know, we even have ideas of spell books, but I don't think people like really understand. It's like, dude, it's really like right in your face. Like, it's like right there. And even the word right, it's right there.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
yes, spelling, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. But so with this, I wanted to say that I think that there is something in mentioning how useful writing can be in this way, because it's like a really accessible way for people to dilate themselves. You know, like people who may feel like it's not feasible for them to like go out and do the things that they have the appetite for.
Mm-hmm.
They can still satiate that through imaginating those things. And for me, like writing is a really crucial tool for being able to imaginate coherently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I first started writing, I could only write poems, and then I started writing chapters. And the chapters were always unique because I couldn't hold the spell long enough. I require a very thick reality plasma for me. I think it's being a Taurus maybe, but I need it to be thick. I don't like a lot of loose ends in my
for immersion.
Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, my writing shows how weak I am at satisfying my immersion qualities. And so they would start with poems, and then they would get into chapters, and then I have 2 books that are kind of quasi related. I hope to be more solidly related, but now you're carrying out a character that lasts an entire book. And I really look at this as when I was a kid, we would play, you would play, and you would say, we're going to play Army Ranger or Bat Ranger or Flight or Plane Guy or whatever. And you would grab the tools or the props and you would begin. And the amount of immersion that you feel is you writing. You are writing in real time when you're playing those games. You're actively writing. And as we get older, our resolution grows, and we are not really training ourselves to keep up with it, which is why we stop being able to play, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
This thing, go ahead.
Well, just real quickly, just to say, I think when I look at my writing, I see what a weak playling I am, how weak my play muscle is, and how much atrophy is set in. Because I remember when I was a kid, when I had a more co-equal resolution, I was really fucking good at this shit, right? And now I can't pull the same kind of torque because my vessel's bigger or my chalkboard's bigger, etc.
Right. There's things like things to take into consideration, and seemingly like an infinite number. Like the more, you develop like a richer comprehension of different worldly systems and ideologies and cultures, like there's just more ground that you have to like get coherent about, and that's hard to maintain.
I think you have to rely on a network to help you pretend more precisely, and that's what we call family and friends and community. And so all of us are co-creating the pretend of society. And so you have a template of the 50s is just long enough for us to have a template of here's your cookie cutter, how to start out with. There's nothing wrong with that. You can diverge from this if you want. This is just, you got to start somewhere. And so this is what the factory setting is it's 50s boy and girl, and 50s life, 50s education, understanding of the world. And then you grow from there. And what happens is that most of us have such a thick consciousness that it instantly has to surpass all that. But still, so many of us don't. So many of us don't need to. It's a much simpler life. And really, neither one of us know what's best. So the simpleton could be the one that makes it in the end, precisely because they're running on a less intense digestive requirements, right? So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily better that we're just high maintenance. That's really all we are, you know?
Yeah, I think that there's value in both paths.
Yeah.
And, you know, if a soul is like, you know, multi-lifetime, which seems likely, then, you know, you would go down both avenues in varying ways, you know?
Yeah.
But just so one more thing that I wanted to say, and then I'll shut up. But
well, before you say it, that's cool. We're having a conversation. So let's not preface with that. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is my first time talking with you directly, and I'm grateful to be here.
Likewise.
I just, you know, I know that there are other people, you know, and so I just want to be considerate of that.
Well, I'm sorry for stopping you from being considerate. You know, just shut the fuck up after this, okay? Can this be your last thing? God, man, because holy fuck, man, there's a lot of people lined up, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's like 5 people in the call. That's funny. Okay, so with writing, just to like circle back to this and kind of like wrap that up, that I think that writing is a great, easy to understand metaphor for how important it is for us to be like coherent in our orientation and our conduct, meaning like the game that we're playing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like what you just mentioned about the simpleton is that like they can run at a really high resolution because what they're rendering is simpler. I think that that's like the value of the, you know, the minimalist approach, or maybe even like Eastern traditions as a whole, like just the whole like releasing attachment and preferences and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because then it's like, then you can focus all of your processing power on rendering like the simplest expression of what you actually want to experience.
Absolutely. I think we create safety places for people that do want a nice Ford Taurus, and it has the glove box, everything is kind of set, and it's going to be the same car when they finish. And that this is fantastic. This is why I'm saying that there's no such thing as an NPC, because I guarantee you that you're going to find a depth in them in a place that you've just never looked before. I think that when you just add up how many cells would have to be working together to create the conscious field that you and I know as self, that energy has to be somewhere. And I think that when we don't see it, it's really just because we are on such a different vista than where they are. We just can't fathom where that is.
Exactly. Like, how do you compassionate with someone that's okay with a 9 to 5, just, you know, everything that's mundane about the systematic like way of life? Like, how do you compassionate with that?
Yeah. And one way I do is I think about Shriners. I think about Freemasons and how they'll wear the fez, they'll wear the hat, they'll play the part, they'll do all the thing, and meanwhile there's this giant ritual that's underneath them that they don't seem to be aware of. And I'm like, is that okay? And it's not just okay. It reminds me more than anything else that we are nature. And that this is what grass looks like growing. There's Freemason grass, and it looks like this. And a lot of them are inside an organization that they don't really know that much about the archetypology of it. And so are the Washington Redskins. Well, like that's an organization. A bunch of people belong to it. None of them really, like none of them really pay attention to like what a Washington Redskin is. It's not really about that. This is why I was so excited to show you guys the how happy the people were at the book burnings in Germany. Their faces were glowing because, man, they're young. The night is young. There's a bonfire. You got someone called the Fuhrer running around. You got people shooting guns. And this is literally how Hitler took off. He was just parading through the streets, telling everybody that he was the living soil. That's what he was doing. And everyone liked to hear it. And they were like, fuck yeah, man. This dude's got my vibe. And really what it was dilation. Really what he was doing was coming through with an ice cream truck in the summer, not in the winter, not in the fall, not in the spring, in the fucking perfect day of summer, comes through with an ice cream truck. That's all that happened. And people gather around that because why would you not? Why would you not do that? So the magician, here's the bad news. I don't think it's possible to be a powerful magician in this world, I'm talking about on this global level, and still have an individual will. I don't think it's possible. I also don't think this is a flaw. When you look at these celebrities that are selling their Teslas right now, they're like, I don't like Elon Musk. I'm selling my Tesla. And they it drives away on a tow truck. This is hilarious to me because they're so tone deaf that they're showing off that, they can just like sell an $80,000 thing for a political reason, right? But yet they're doing it to win the props of all the people that would kind of be like, what the fuck is that? In order for someone to be this way, I don't think that they can be a person anymore. I think you just as a wizard gets, man, if you want to get to level 64, you're not going to be a person anymore. You're a level 64 wizard. If you're a level 64 wizard, you would have had to have met Azamundagrafite, the secret demon from the ninth plane of Igtar. And you would have had to probably like have sex with a pumpkin like a lot of times during the year. And just seriously, just devote yourself to understanding the Eye of Newt from a deeper level. And all these things change you, and it's okay. All these things change you. They change you because you sacrifice yourself to become those things. So when you see a celebrity like Neil Young is an example, really it's all of them. You're just simply looking at a high-level wizard that just, if you want to become your craft, you become your craft. And really, what's wrong with that? They found flow state. Taylor Swift found flow state a long time ago because she sang in front of 12 people and it lit her up. It dilated her more than anything else has dilated her before. And she wanted more. And she got it. And she was never satisfied with her appetite before. And she started to become more of a vessel, quite simply because she's traveling faster than the speed of sound. Like, chronically speaking, I don't think you can have an identity at that kind of torque. I'm just thinking that it's so much brighter than you are. This is a glowing warp core. Yeah, you could be a person in it, but if you're looking at it, all you're going to see is warp core. Do you understand? So you just get lost in it. It's like, no different than the elite, right? Like Ivanka Trump had to marry Jared Kushner. Like that was done before, when she was 4. Why? Because the warp core is so much stronger than her identity. Go ahead. Bagheera, is that how I say it?
Yeah, Bagheera.
Thank you.
Yeah. Or James. I'm also a James, but Bagheera is like my moniker. That's actually relevant to what we're talking about here because Bagheera James was the name that my parents gave me. And then as I became more aware of my psyche beyond like the framework that had been bred by culture and the people around me and media, I started to feel like there was more to myself than that person and like all of their whole story. And the more that I've focused on that and gained clarity about that, and the more I've like opened my pores to allow that to shine through. It's like what you're saying. It's like the form is a vessel for the light to shine through.
Yep.
And I think that the more that you like dial into that and lean into it and open yourself, dilate to receive and express more fully, that it's like the form itself and the person that you may be like embodied as becomes more and more like just an instrument and not the music or the musician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. This is harder for me because, so kind of related to this, as we were talking about earlier, about maybe being satisfied with a simpler life, you have to think about where their epigenetic focus has been. If you were the founder of Salt Lake City before it was a city and it was just a Salt Lake, you would invest maybe 20, 30 years in building the sewage system for that city, or the roads, or the putting up the telegraph wires, and it would be something that you knew even as you were planning it. You're like, damn, I'm never even going to see these things on. Like that's not going to fucking happen. It's no different than the life of an electrician. You might think an electrician would have plenty of lights around, and it's no, man. An electrician is like almost always in the dark. It's like, don't go into being an electrician because you like being around light, because that's not going to happen, man. Look, most of the time there's not going to be light on, and it's funny because it's the opposite, right? Like you would think it's the opposite. So hear me out. If you're there and you're building the Salt Lake, your will is really invested in this long haul vision of this place becoming a city. And this is what Freemasons do, by the way. They build churches that are going to be there for 500 years. I just told you why Freemasons are unconscious, why we think they're unconscious. I'm getting ready to tell you why, but this is why. They built that cathedral 500 years ago, and they knew that they never get to see what it's like with people inside. And so they reincarnate into a mundane life because they are wanting to watch that. They're watching the progress of just what you and I take advantage and consider normalcy. They built with their hands. They built the fabric of society. And so they are the people that live near it and participate and don't ask questions because, quite frankly, they're just completely enamored and proud of what they've done. And they're epigenetically looking at the progress, and that will go away when either their work has been shamed or their work has been bombed, or that they no longer find fulfillment in what their ancestors built and they want to do something different. And if that was happening, if they had lost the digestion to just enjoy the normalcy of building the cathedral, their children would start to revolt. They'd show up in goth makeup. And the irony of, we built this church and now my kids are rebelling by wearing goth makeup, and you're watching the unfolding, the necessary turning of the sunflower because the sun is passing along the sky, and the conscious appetite is ready for more because, well, why'd you fucking water it? If you're upset that the conscious thing is growing, then why are you watering it? And this is really what dilation is. Dilation is its own fluid, isn't it? The jaguar in the forest is just as dilating as the beautiful girl or beautiful boy, or brilliant thought, or fucking good song, a really good book. This is water. We're finding tapping these roots, then we get used to it. We want more. We expect more. We become entitled to more. And we create it if it's not there. And when we create it when it's not there, we don't actually get to enjoy drinking it anymore. We notice that, like the fucking electrician, we came here because we wanted to be more light, so we signed up to be an electrician, and fuck, I can't see a damn thing. I can't see anything all the time. All I do is wake up in the morning and have people tell me, can you show me the light? And I go over there and spend all day in the darkness. And then as soon as the light comes on, I gotta go. I gotta go because my work is done. Can I be reincarnated as your dog and just hang out in your house for a while? Just to watch what happens when you flip the lights on? You'll smile and I'll feel important. And after a while, you'll take advantage. You'll forget how easy that was or how hard that was. And then I'll move along because my ghost is gone. See, my ghost is in that house, isn't it? And it could stay. It could forget where it came from. Pride is a demon. We value these craftsman style homes because they're full of demons. The wood is full of demons. 3 guys put that beam up there. And they were like chef's kiss. They were like, oh God, look at that. Put it all together. They're just having a time of their lives. Nobody was fucking with them. They were just showing up to work, getting it done. That lingers because the wood has holes, and those holes hold this pride, you know. It emanates from it. This is the 8th gland. This is the coat of many colors. This is why you're missing parts. How else are we going to see this stuff? But more importantly, how else will we not see it? Because honestly, if all we saw was rainbows, if all we saw was our own rainbow, we'd be bumping into shit all the time. Let's be honest, you know? So it's like, it makes sense that we can ignore it. We have to be able to ignore the aura, but then be able to turn it on. And we already do. We're seeing auras right now. I think the biggest thing that's slowing us down is that there's this word called telepathy. And people are pretending like there's this thing called telepathy. And once we invent enough technology, we'll have the ability to telepathically send a signal remotely. And I'm like, oh, you mean like if I look at you across the room? Yeah, man, but I mean like send a signal. I'm like, yeah, like if I give you a look across the room? No, man, I mean like a secret message. Oh, so I give you the stink eye from across the room? It's like, no, it doesn't count, James. No, that counts. No, you need to send a 12-digit PIN number. And you can't use your emotions, James. You have to keep your emotions in your pocket the whole time. And it's like, why do we fucking want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Why don't you just text it to me? Don't we already have that? Isn't that what telepathy is? And no, we've invented this word because we don't want to think empathy is a thing. We don't want to, I mean, I get it. We're playing, so, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah. That's you're right about that. And I like to look at it from the perspective that you often tout, which is to that it's not a problem, that it's not a bad thing that people don't want to feel empathy. I mean, I get it. Like I've been sensitive for my whole life, and I spent a lot of the years, like the first 2 decades of my life, like using like inflammation and various forms of escapism to like avoid all of the information that was coming in.
Yep.
As like, I get why people do that, but I do think that you're kind of right on point there, that in order for us to really grow, we got to be able to acknowledge that we are receiving information from everybody. All that, like that propaganda from everybody is, you know, bombarding us all the time, and not in like an aggressive way. It's just like, it's a lot of information that's like coming in through our pores and other sensory organs.
Mm-hmm. There is, when you are where we are now, if I can place us all sort of in the same Venn circle, there is a certain amount of shame towards sheep. And sheep are beautiful. They are so amazing. Like, seriously, they are so adorable. They're cute as fuck. They have so much personality. They hold so much prana. It's so dilating. They're so dilating. Like, if I had a mini farm, fuck, that'd be fun. That'd be so fun. And we remember, whatever you have shame about is where you were or where you're afraid to go. Same thing. You could look at it as the same thing. But ultimately, if you're a Freemason and you built Notre Dame and you were chiseling those rocks and you did one of the arches that's like way the fuck up there, and you wanted to see that, you would be looking for the sheep's life, because the esoteric hermetical bullshit was just, you were just over it, man. You're so sick of vitriol. You're so sick of consciousness, of dilation, aperture, and you're just like, I don't even want that appetite anymore. Why? Because you gorged yourself on it. You came in and you freebased it. What do they call that at Netflix? When you do something with a show, but it's like that. And we're in a culture where we're allowed to revisit hedonism, which is something that we have solved because the Great Depression, like, oh, this will fix it. But back in Greece, when all of a sudden you were overrun with the ability to have hedonism, a lot of people really lost their shit. And we have a war on drugs because of that. Chemicals became very accessible. And we're playing some really twisted games with that right now, precisely because our own hedonism is we're terrified of that. Where it's so bad that on recess there are kids that are playing. We're terrified of that. And they've built a society. And they've worked together because they know if they all imagine together, shit gets done. So what is a Freemason? These are the kids that are sheep imagining rocks, and they happen. And it's because they're disassociated, which is why they have so much magic. What did I tell you? 64 level magician becomes the fad. It becomes the archetype. Well, what is a Freemason? It's a fad. It's an archetype. It's one of the most powerful icons for hundreds of thousands of years. And you're only seeing it as fez hats because the sun has moved and the sunflower is changing. And the new Freemason is you. It's the tribal wizard. It's the schizophrenic shaman. It's the reject who wears the monikers of conspiracy, who suffers the pangs of being worried about a world where a lot of people are not. And the sheep, you know what's going to blow your mind is that sheep has all the wisdom that you don't want to hear. Because that wisdom is, I was there once. I was a Freemason. I was fucking Albert Pike. Now I'm a sheep, and I am really enjoying this. I feel more in touch with nature because I am one of the sheep. The singular and the plural are the same because you can disassociate into the flock, and that's a beautiful place to be because you're all sheep at once. Imagine being all fish at once inside of a school. That's pretty cool. Like, that's got to be freaking cool. Imagine being the entire hive at the same time and being able to tap in. How would you look through every single bee's eyes? You'd have to slip into your peripheral vision, wouldn't you? You'd have to stop looking directly at something and you'd have to wait, let your peripheral vision come in. This is what it would feel like to look at the hive if you were a bee. Well, you are a bee, so you can look like this in peripheral vision, just like you have 4 eyelids, not 2. I swear you do. That after your peripheral vision, there's another peripheral, a periperipheral, and that is humanity. And you're using it anyway. You were seeing yourself through a matrix of eyes, and that they are plugged into a singular hallucination, because why waste all these separate video cards going to all these separate monitors? That's stupid. You can just see them all singularly through this HDMI interface. And this is what a bee does in the bee's brain, right? All the different, same with the fly, all the separate windows are routed into a singular joystick that says run. And the entire fly is running on, where is there the least amount of, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And that's what makes a fly stop. A fly stops because it's like, oh, I'm not freaking out. Oh, this is great. Oh, this is great. I am enjoying not freaking out. And then something happens. And it's like, where do I go? Do I go over here? Do I go over here? Do I go over here? And all it's doing is just listening to the hallucination, right? It's changing its vectors until the hallucination is right. Then it lands. And it's like, oh, I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. So the fly, you want to know why flies are associated with death? I just told you. They're not seeking a dilation of I want more. They're seeking a dilation of I want less. There's a certain kind of flat fly. It looks like it's been squashed, but it's alive. It shows up on certain raptors. If the raptor's about to die, or it's like hit by a car or something, and you're trying to rescue it, but maybe it's right at that cusp where it's probably going to be too late, although sometimes it's not. You will find this very special kind of fly. It looks like an arrowhead. It's like super wide. It's like a moth fly. And it shows up under their feathers. And I'm telling you, I don't think that flies are what we think they are. I think that they appear because they're shed from the organism that used to have more sentience. If you picture that your body turns into maggots, it's the exact same thing. The raptor was once grand, and it's lost a lot of its life force, but that life force just detached because it was fractured from the original. And the fracturing shows up as these arrowhead flies. And they're on the body because they belong to the hawk. They belong to the owl, but they're separate from it. The same way when your body dies and your skin is 7 days in denial, you have parts of you that are still insisting that the corporation of America is still here. And there was no DPA. And all that's happening is we're just making the body more efficient. That's all. And really what's happening is that the body's gone. But the body parts of it don't know yet. It took 7 years for people to find out Caesar died. That's a famous fucking dude, man. I mean, everyone knew that dude. So when we think about what life is, we always have this nice, pretty picture of, well, it starts here, and there's an egg, and there's a chicken, and one of them came first, but we're not going to tell you. But instead, if things just phase, if things rephase, if you strike a molecule and you lose one of the electron orbits, right? It changes into a different, a different element. So
you're talking about the morphogenetic like fluidity of the essay.
Yeah, pleomorphic, really.
Pleomorphic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to correct you, but yeah, it's pleomorphically. I hadn't realized that, but yeah, I am talking about that. The hawk is a pleomorph that separates into a lesser pleomorph and these flies, but they're all the same entity, the same association.
You're talking about the universal substance, like the essay. I like to think of it as like that creation is like an ocean of sound. It's like a body of water that holds resonance, and that resonance, like unique to each particle, is what like expresses the forms. And that like there's something to recognizing that fluidity, that like just through like the way that you focus your attention, the way you focus your attention with your intention is like the song that you sing into your cells. And like the body of Osiris, like Osiris is singing the songs into each of these cells, and that it's actually, it really is perfect for whatever is perfect for that cell at that time. Like the flies and the birds, like as the thing changes form, changes its resonance, like that is appropriate. Like that's nature doing what, the holistic intelligence of the cosmos knows is what's best for that cell at that moment.
Yeah, well said, man.
Like the shares that y'all have been like just going back and forth, like it reminds me of like John Livingston Seagull. Like I know it's a child's book, but like it was very dilating for me to read. Like, yeah, it's okay for you to go off and like go on your own journey, discover things for yourself. Like you don't have to stick around with the village and catch fish.
Yep. Beautiful book. I don't, and timeless. And we're all at recess, so it's very, it is very fitting. And if you really think about, well, so those molecules belong to the raptor, and then they belong to half a live raptor, and then some of these flies. And it just makes you go back to, well, it is the ocean of sound really is an ocean of association. It's just simply people saying that's mine. That's really all the raptor's doing is kind of taking the collective sound around it and saying, this is mine. I'm entitled to write to these pixels. And I'm going to be this big, and everyone's gonna accept me. If not, I'm going to have to be crushed or reduced in some way. And so the entitlement speaks. It's not a bird. It just, that's the only way we can really hallucinate what's actually there.
I just had like a light bulb, because you spoke about scalar waves a couple of weeks ago, and then months before that, you showed us, the planarium, how you would cut the planarium into like 14. It's up to 26 pieces, I believe, and it would still regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
Are those two like cohesive? Like, can you tie in those two theories? Like scalar waves is like morphic resonance, where you could be cut up into different pieces collectively and experience the same thing or have the same effect.
Yeah, I think those flatworms, they remember, and then they remember as long as there's success, and then the second there's trauma, they reconsider who they used to be. And that's the entire, that's all chemical though. I just told you what chemical process. It's all chemical. So if you consider that you can just plug an eyeball into the back of one of those things and it just like routes into the brain, or you can plug a different lung into it or give it larger brain or less of a brain, it still has the memory, which means that there's not like a certain organ in the place that holds this memory that you can remove. It's built into every cell. So every cell is holographic or fractal, I'm sorry. Every cell is a fractal of the organism, meaning the organism that it associates with, that it incorporates with. So if you were a citizen of an organism, you would associate as an American. If you're a citizen of a state, you were associating as a citizen of an organism. So everything's an organism. Not only is everything an organism, we've invented a society that has organisms inside of it. Hey, why don't we overlap those two? Oh my God, they fit. Holy shit. Holy shit. The corporate fiction isn't a fiction at all. It's an X-ray. An X-ray is a fiction, I guess. It's a flat image, but fuck, it sure does tell you a lot for fiction. It literally tells you what it looks like inside your body. You can look at it, and here's a corporation. It makes sense that there would be a lung that has 5 separate chambers, 5 branches of the Pentagon, for example, wherever the lung is. So none of it's fake. Everything is simply holographic. So everything is informative. Every chemtrail is valuable intel. Every TI, every suspect, every paranoia are opportunities that you have to go to a place that scares you, which means that you are living in a soil that has a deep plunge. This would make you feel more comfortable because you would know you would have a place to go. So you would always want to be looking at the scary things because it would be the way that your roots have said, hey, I could go deeper if you wanted to, just wanted you to know, versus I've hit a rock, there's no more water. I'm sending the signal that there's no more water here, so stop trying to grow. It's going to hurt you. So you fishbowl into that place.
Yeah, it's like you've said, one of the dilating things you've said on your live stream was how our parents lied to us, like by saying like Santa or the tooth fairy is real, and we didn't really demonize them for that at that moment. We just got into like an adolescence sort of consciousness, and now piecing it with like everything that's going on like in mainstream news, like for instance like the Diddy case, like all these salacious things like that wouldn't be broadcasted 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the consciousness wasn't there. So instead of like flailing and being like, oh shit, we're fucked. And I overheard the Friday night Airship where Brad said like, you're fucked if you do, if you don't. It's really about like finding 2 sturdy trees, setting up a hammock and just like enjoying the show. Because honestly, like if I flail too much about, oh my God, we're screwed, I'm just overriding my nervous system. But if I just find a way to compassionate with everything and understand where everything, like how the garden is growing right now, or the weather in the garden, I can see things more clearly.
Yeah. Well, it's even simpler. It's even more exciting. It's even better news because if you look at it like recess, you've run outside or you were playing one thing, then you forgot. You don't even know what you're playing. And you ran up and you saw this kid, and the kid's like, he's got the widest raccoon eyes you've ever seen. And he comes up to you and he's like, the lunchroom, it was demolished. The whole thing's a conspiracy. The pizzas aren't supposed to be square. They're supposed to be round. They're supposed to be round. They're feeding us square pizzas because they're trying to put us in a box. You, me, we're in a box. That's why we're playing 4 squares. And if you've never heard this, you're like, oh my God, this is fun as fuck. What is it? What are we playing? What are we playing? This is fun. I don't have to take off my clothes. I'm not breaking any laws. This is a good game. And so if we trust nature completely, we also get to trust our playmates completely, even when it comes to crazy shit they might do. You trust the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper will always end up creating morality more than it will not, I swear. I get how easy it is to blame all that on him, but if the Pied Piper did not come through and call the ones that want to do that to drown themselves down to the river, they would drown you too. They would kill you. These are Freemasons that have known this for a long time. They've known it so long that they made sure that they installed this into the seed of Enoch from the last cataclysm. That's how long they fucking know this. This is crucially important. I guarantee you it's carved into the underwater records of Antarctica. The frozen ice records there say you're going to need Freemasons. They say it. The Gaia is programmed to do this because you're a natural. You are not unnatural, which means Freemasons are natural. This is a very natural part of the fractal of this thing. So all the information is inside of you. All of the secret stuff is inside of you. You're simply just opening the channels to decide what you want. And you may want to just be afraid. It's really okay. You'll stop wasting calories if you give everyone, including yourself, permission to be a sheep, because a sheep is one of God's greatest inventions. It's like such a crucial way of preserving wisdom inside of a little protective shell that's not going to endanger itself for 500 years. This is how you plant a seed. You plant a seed in a 26,000 year long garden, right? You would need sheep to plant seeds to stay normalized, to stay dormant for several years to wake up when the rainbow children have arrived. That's when they strike. So you don't get to choose which parts of nature that you trust. This is why I say, why is parasite a bad word? Why are there so many parasites in the world if parasite's a bad word? Why? Why? It's not a bad word. It's not. You're ashamed of the word parasite, which means you're probably coming from a parasitic place. You're ashamed of it because that's your direction. So this is great. Look at all this emotional radar we have. I mean, come on. For the last 3 hours, I've guided you through every single possible scenario has come down to, does it feel right? Didn't say, is it sweet? Is it salty? Does it taste good? Does it feel right after you've fully digested it? It could take you 26,000 years to digest. I think that's what's happening. Ultimately, we all are keeping track of who's having the most fun. And whoever's having the most fun, their seed gets to make it into the final round of Enoch for the next cataclysm. And it's the person who has the most fun. It's actually a secret. There's purposely a false target that's set to whoever has the most money wins. And you could be the winner, but that's actually not the goal. Then whoever has the most power, whoever has this, all these things are there, but it's going to be whoever was just really having a good time, because this is what God would have to feel like. It's the only way that Orca could really maintain is Orca's got to feel just fucking great, man. Seriously. Orca's good time is a good time. It is a jam band in the middle of tour at the perfect time with the perfect lady, just everything is just right, man, all the time. And that's your normalcy. That's like your base. Like, oh, I just woke up. Things are fucking great. I'm in ecstasy. Oh, that's where, and we're going there. But we're losing ourselves to get there because our identity really is based on our bandwidth, I swear. And that's why you really aren't appreciating what a deep life the sheep has, because in that bandwidth, there's a thick, thick beat there too. It really is. It may be more country than you like, a little bit too predictable maybe for your taste. but it's still music. So
Yeah, and a simpler song is it's easier to sing it sustainably and consistently.
Yeah, and you find more people there.
Yeah, it's many hands make light work, or like many voices can sing softly to sing a big chorus. But it's I think that there's more to it than that. That you talk often about being like a symbiote, and how that's oftentimes like a more attractive, at least to you, path than like trying to be, strictly a maverick, and like because there's a lot more work involved, and I think that there really is a lot of value in like striking that balance, because like if you can hold the resonance of like your unique intentions in a way that doesn't require you to like do a bunch of legwork to sustain it. Like if you can feed your unique vision with the songs of everyone, then you're going to have an easier time. And that means that it's going to be a lot more feasible for you to sustain that song to completion.
Yeah.
Even if it takes 26,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. All of us, would be challenged to find joy in every place. And if we could, it would really be quite a skill. It would really be a kind of resilience if you consider joy in the sense of the lack of a loss of calories. Then you would be able to feel that anywhere. And that's that needle, Orca can feel joy in more places and feel the opposite of joy in more places. And we wouldn't identify with that because we would be super bland sheep to them. But look how deep we are. We're deep as fuck, man. Like we are. We're deep as fuck. But an orca would think that we were asphyxiating. There's no way they could even survive from that, They couldn't survive from that. So yeah, it's identity is really directly tied into bandwidth for sure. It has been a great flight, guys. Super duper. Thank you so much for riding. I really appreciate this. I just really enjoy it. Thanks for coming in and speaking up, and all of you. I enjoyed having you all. You're all welcome back. Again, any final words? Not that you need them, but if you do, it's a great opportunity to take them. All right, I'm going to play us out. Another song here, Blue Shadow. Quick note, I'm traveling to Portland. If anyone in the Portland area wants to come, you can check us. I'll be there Friday in Portland, Oregon. And the shows will be kind of spotty until then. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can stream from my laptop. I've put together a little kit, so I'm confident that it might work. But in case you don't hear from me, that's what's going on. I'm just traveling for a bit, but hopefully I can keep doing these flights. I'm personally enjoying it because, I'll just quickly say this. I connect to... I don't want to be more conscious unless there's people there. That's as high as conscious as I want to be. And I want to find beyonders. And I don't mind leaving the puddle that I'm in now to go to another place to find someone that's beyond. I'm all for that. But I do know that personally, I really love people. I want to be around people. I just think they're the most valuable form of witness there is. And so that's why I've noticed I'm a symbiote. It's not because I'm proud of it. It's because I notice deep down what I like and who I truly am.
I actually feel inspired to say one final thing.
Yeah.
Since you brought this up, I appreciate this. I used to like boast myself in being a truther, and I was one of those people that would watch Mark Passio religiously, and I don't demonize any other content creator. Like I watch just about anybody. I like compassionating with many different ideas. It's just when I came across your work, your books, your podcast, it just makes the most sense. So I'm definitely glad to be here and be able to like be a part of a tribe that has like a full spectrum, like a very open mind on other ideas instead of it being this way or, you're going to hell.
Yeah, and that's a fun way to play, you know? You go out on the playground and there's Mark Passio and he's like, dude, we're gonna do this. And you're just like, fuck yeah, man, where are we going? What do we do? I got a stick. Let's do it, you know?
You're a fucking loser if you don't use the camera. Like
Yeah.
what? Okay.
Yeah, this is great stuff. This is how we yeah, I agree. I'm glad they're all out there. It doesn't really matter if even if I resonate with the ideas, it's the people that count. So thank you much. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Really enjoyed it.
Great, guys. That was fun. Good night.